This week's video is titled Define Your Goals Twitter Style. What we mean by that is how can we help you to crystallize your mission, your goal, your dreams in less than 140 characters. Why 140 characters? Well, it's because it's achievable. It has been proven. When Twitter came up with the 140 character limit to constrict, to get away with the noise, remove the noise in people's sentences, get to the point of what you want to talk about. When you try to crystallize or write down your goals in the 2 or 3 sentences of 140 characters, even paragraphs I've seen written down, they end up becoming more vague and wishy-washy. You need to be thinking about writing your goals in a methodical way that is very concise. You need to start writing your goals in a way that is very concise. And that means constriction, reducing the amount of words that are just filler words that actually mean nothing. What is it that you want to become? Why do you want to become it? What's the time frame you want to achieve it? All these things you can put down in 140 characters. There are many people now who are successful people because they tweet on a daily basis. We have a president of the United States who's basically there in the Greater Main for the fact he's very active on Twitter. You can say a lot on Twitter. You can do a lot of damage on Twitter. There are people right now doing time at the Majesty's service because of what they wrote on Twitter. So don't send me any messages saying you cannot write down your goals in less than 140 characters. What I'm talking about here is the process, more than anything else, of being able to think about these goals in a far more concentrated manner. Restricting all the noise. Something special happens when you actually write things down. You are more likely to engage in that process of making that happen. You are concentrating a lot more. You don't have automatic spell check going on in the background, okay? It's a far more organized way of thinking. There's a famous poem by Marilyn Monroe which goes, "I think in ink." It's very important for you guys to, yes, we live in the digital age, I've said that before, but write it down first. Write down whatever is truly important to yourself first before you commit that to Word or any other variant. So why do you think it's important to be able to crystallize your goals, your wishes, your aspirations in 140 characters or less? Well, from personal experience, I'm talking about 10 years worth of experience helping people define their goals in the context of a care plan. These are people in need of care. One thing is crystal clear. The longer your statement is, the more vague it becomes and harder to follow. You should be trying to think about writing in a very clear and concise way. That way you can drown out the noise and get to the crux of what it is that you want to do, want to achieve, or want to become. Now, one of the major stumbling blocks when people try to define their goals is not only they don't really have an understanding of what their goals are, it's just that they also have these fears that overcome them when they're defining their goals. That when we're talking about fears, we're talking about the fear of criticism, the fear of failure, fear of unworthiness, doubt comes in, also change, the fear of actual changing into something that you didn't know you could become. Again, that probably feeds into a fear of unworthiness, but you're presented with all these fears when you're coming to the point whereby you're trying to define your goals. So helping people to define the goals is not a real straightforward thing. There's a lot of psychology that comes into it, but essentially it comes from you knowing yourself, okay? You cannot start writing your goals until you've taken a step aside to define and write down who you want to be in a very unbiased way, okay? And what you want to become. So think about it like this, people. You're in an elevator and somebody asks you, what is your goal? Do you have time to reel off a paragraph worth of statements in terms of what you want to achieve, the time frame you want to achieve it? No, you don't. Does everyone have time to do that? No, they don't. Nobody has the time for that. So chances are you're not on the way to achieving those goals. If your goals are very clear and concise, not only will you convince somebody when they ask you in the elevator on the way to the 5th floor, what is your goal? You can say boldly what it is and have time to give some sort of explanation as to why those things are your goal. So to help you guys defining that goal, which you are going to try to shape in less than 140 characters, I have a few tips, okay? The first one being is, if I was to ask you, what makes your heart sing? What truly motivates you? What action do you do? What things do you end up occupying your thoughts and your time that require little or no motivation? The chances are these things that you're doing are aligned to your deepest and truest values. If you align your goals to your values, you have a greater chance of success. When you try to do things that are not aligned to your values, you tend to require a lot of motivation. And I can testify that myself, that many times when I was working in careers that I felt were not aligned to my truest values, I need to really motivate myself to get up just to go to work. This is something that's made by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the globe right now. It's only because we're doing things or are engaging activities that are not aligned to our deepest values. So understand what those values are, what it is that inspires you, what it is that motivates you. Do you feel like you have a calling? It's all about yourself. Values are so important because these are things we think about all the time. This is what we want for ourselves, mainly due to a lack. Most of the values, if you actually do a process of reflection, are born out of a lack of something, okay? When you are focused on your values, it's almost like it's the lens of which you see life. If your value is to have children and you've assigned that as being your goal, if you go shopping, you see and notice kids everywhere. If your value system is based upon, say, fashion, you'd be comparing the regalia of people you see out and about. Your values are very important because this is where we put all our attention. This is where we put all our ability to recall what we have seen. This is where we put all our focus on achieving things. So therefore, your values are intrinsically assigned. I can't say it, but it's in the video, to your goals. You have to align them to your goals. Where goals sit with no values, you need motivation. And motivation is not a good thing to be needing on a daily basis, particularly if you need it to achieve your goals. Okay? When it's aligned to your values, you need no motivation. This is who you are and this is what you're going to do. Now, to help you guys define your goals in 140 characters or less, there's a famous acronym we use in goal setting exercises. We call this SMART. The S stands for being specific, okay? And I like to use it in the context of something that will actually stretch you, but something that's also clearly defined. The next one is measurable. You've got to be able to measure your progress along your journey to achieving your goals, okay? And I also like to include the word motivation. Wherever your goal is, it has to inspire you. It has to drive you forward because you know the journey to achieving anything that's worth achieving is going to be fraught with a lot of challenges. Next, we have action orientated, or in the SMART goals, the traditional SMART goal structure, you have achievable. But I like action orientated because it's a doing, it's like a verb. It means you're going to be motivated and actually doing things to make it happen, okay? The next one we have is rewarding. We like to reward ourselves when we achieve things. So whatever goal you have in mind, also think about the reward mechanism in there. What will you get out of it? Finally, T for trackable. You have to be able to track where you are on your journey to achieving your goals. And I'll end this with a quote by Duke Ellington. I don't need time. What I need is a deadline. Nobody Motivation is a movement. We're here to help inspire and motivate everybody out there so that they can achieve their goals. So please like or subscribe my video. The links are down below. Remember guys, all of this means nothing if it's not applied and shared. Each one teach one. This is Douglas Hamadishe for NobodyMotivation.com. I'm out.